Hundreds of people have taken to the streets of Nicaragua after more deadly violence from pro-government paramilitary forces. The latest spate of violence over the weekend saw 12 people killed, including a 10-year-old girl. Now, this brings the number killed since April to around 280. President Ortega has been condemned by the international community, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has demanded a political solution to the crisis. Well, the Nicaraguan Minister of National Policies is in Brussels. Our correspondent, Brian Carter, is live for us with the latest. Now, Brian, so the Minister for National Policies, he was in Brussels for a meeting with EU politicians. Will this crisis be on the agenda?
Probably, Tessa. They are here together for the EU CELAC meeting, which is a political dialogue that is held every 2 years. But of course, often domestic issues come onto the agenda. And that is the case, of course, where in Nicaragua, with the protests have been going on for 3 months between the pro-government forces and the anti-government demonstrators. It actually started when Daniel Ortega, the president of Nicaragua, planned to reduce the pension benefits in the country. Some people protested against that, and they were violently crushed by pro-government forces. Now, the images circulated, and they sparked outrage in the country, drawing more people into the streets. Now, the pension reform was eventually scrapped, but the demands of the protesters mushroomed into much more, into demands for democratic reforms and early elections, with Daniel Ortega saying that this is a coup attempt. But there's been a lot of violence and a lot of human rights violations. As you said, there's close to 300 people killed over the last 3 months, and the country is now littered with roadblocks and barricades everywhere, with each side really camping on its position. The EU's chief diplomat, Federica Mogherini, has said that, I quote, "The violence is unacceptable and that the differences can only be resolved through inclusive dialogue." Now, yesterday, Euronews reporter Ana Lazaro sat down with Paulo Quisqueli, who's, as you said, the Secretary of State for National Policies and who is the highest-ranking member of the Nicaraguan government here in Brussels, and she asked him if Daniel Ortega would consider stepping down before the end of his term in 2022. And here's his answer.
Esto no resolvería la cosa. ¿Sabe por qué?
This is a pro-coup position. Why would the president step down? Because somebody put up barricades in the street? This won't solve the situation. You know why? Because the pro-government Sandinistas also know how to put up barricades. So we are going to bring down governments just because somebody put up barricades? You will never have peace in Nicaragua. Look, Nicaragua is a polarized society. I like the position of the Vatican. It says that one side cannot impose its views on another in a society that is polarized. You need first an agreement. In the case of Nicaragua, we need an end to the violence, rebuild trust, build peace, which is more than just stopping violence. But above all, we need national reconciliation.
Necesitamos reconciliación nacional.
So, as I said before, the EU countries are meeting with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Latin America and Caribbean states. 61 countries coming together to talk about trade, about climate, about drug policy, about strengthening partnership. But as I said, the first policy, the first item on the agenda is trade. Now, trade between the two blocs has actually doubled over the last 10 years, and the EU has concluded several free trade agreements with countries like Chile, Peru, and Mexico. But they want to go further, and this comes, of course, at a time of rising tensions with the U.S., with the EU trying to really diversify its trading partners. But all you can expect from this meeting is a declaration. Behind the scenes, there will be more negotiations to see if we can strengthen partnerships and, of course, increase trade between the two blocs.